How's it going, everybody? It's Sacred Eagle coming back with another pick video because guess what? We're already on week 3. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of funny. We wait for this so long and then it just flies right by, and a lot of teams are doing pretty well. A lot of teams are doing subpar and struggling a little bit, and then a couple are doing very badly. And my picks the last 2 weeks haven't been too great. I went 8-7-1 the first week, and then I went 8-8 last week. So I'm still above 500, but not by much, thanks to the tie. So, moving to week 3, though, we'll start off with tomorrow night's game, Titans and Jags. It's kind of, the game being on Thursday with the Jags is kind of the reason why Jalen Ramsey hasn't really been traded anywhere. They're kind of taking it slow with, him having to play this Thursday and everything. That's a part of it. Of course, the rest is actually getting a deal with whoever team is going to give them the best deal, right? So, hopefully, fingers crossed it's us. So we'll see what happens. But I'm going to go with the Titans on this game. Both these two teams have struggled. Not in the same context, considering the Jags lost Nick Foles for the next, now, 3-4 weeks. So the Titans, they're a good team. They're decent. They lost to the Colts that, kind of surprised me last week. But, it makes sense considering the Colts are not that bad of a team. They just lost their quarterback. And Jacoby Brissett is not terrible. So seeing him win a game, really, really, really reassuring. And in an AFC South, where I've seen all 4 of the teams in the first 2 weeks struggle in some capacity, because again, the Jags almost beat the Texans, and they lost 13-12. So that division, in my opinion, is really wide open. And if Nick Foles comes back and they're still in the neck of things, hopefully they can start to win games. Maybe they can win this game and get right back on track. They could be in the running for the division. So we'll see what happens. Lions at the Eagles. I'm going to go Eagles, and I'll talk about that on Friday. So, yeah, there's a lot to discuss as well. I'm probably going to make a video tomorrow talking about a couple things, like the lack of Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey for about 2 weeks due to abdominal strains and calf injuries. So it's going to be interesting. The next 2 games, considering we play 2 games in the same week. We play Sunday and then Thursday night football. So it's going to be tough. But I think the Eagles will manage to beat the Lions to get back on track. And then as soon as the week is over, I'll talk Green Bay, because that's Thursday night, and I want to talk about that before I head on my trip. And then the video for that game is going to be a little different, and you'll see what I mean once we get there. Bengals at Bills. I'm going to go with the Bills. I think their offensive line, or offense as a whole, will start to really come together. Frank Gore and their running game, their rookie Singletary, it's been a pretty pleasant surprise. Josh Allen hasn't done anything too bad, and hey, they're 2-0, so clearly things are working, right? They beat the Jets, then they beat the Giants, now they're playing the Bengals. Bengals have struggled in their own right after putting up a fight against Seattle to getting blown out the next week by the 49ers. Bengals want to look to get back on track. Andy Dalton looked really good. He's still among the top 5 in passing yards, but the team overall is not scoring points. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe the Bengals will rebound, but I think the Bills are going to take that game. Dolphins at the Cowboys. Without any question, I'm going to pick the Cowboys. I said I wouldn't, but this is a gimme. Okay, it's the Dolphins. Next week when the Saints come around, I'll make a case for the Saints, but I will pick the Saints because I'm not going to pick the Cowboys, obviously, but for this game, it's a gimme. The Dolphins are not anything to be afraid of. You've seen in the last 2 weeks, they've allowed 102 points and only scored 10. So, yeah, Cowboys are going to win that game. Broncos at the Packers. Both teams have solid defenses and struggle offensively in their own different ways. The Broncos struggled in game 1, and then game 2, they kind of rebounded a little bit. Their defense kind of stayed alive, but then the Bears kicked the game winner. So I think the Packers are going to win this game just because Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and when he's clicking, the offense clicks. And you saw it against the Vikings, quick 21, or what was it, 14-0, 21-0, I don't even remember, but they were up a lot against the Vikings, and the Vikings had to play catch up, and they couldn't make the comeback happen. So, yeah, I'll go with the Packers on that one. And hopefully the Eagles can dethrone them if they do go 3-0. So, hey, we'll get there eventually. Falcons at the Colts. I'm mostly going Colts because I despise the Falcons. I've always hated the Falcons, and Honestly, not even after Sunday. I don't hate them anymore. It was just, all in all, it was a really sloppy game. If we had one more person, whether it was Jackson or Jeffrey, we would have won it, but it's in the past. Colts are going to win that game, in my opinion. I think the Colts found a little groove after beating the Titans, after being a divisional rival. That's never really easy unless if it's the Dolphins and Patriots, but I'll give it to the Colts. I'll give the home field advantage to the Colts. Hopefully they can win. I'm rooting for them. Frank Reich, that's the biggest reason why. Former Eagle offensive coordinator. Love you, man. Good luck. Ravens at the Chiefs. That's going to be a really good game. And I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think Patrick Mahomes is just too good. Lamar Jackson has looked great. The Ravens offense has looked really good. But I think Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid's offense there a little bit better. Even without Tyreek Hill, I think they're going to continue to roll and just win games and score points. So, Raiders at the Vikings. I'm going to go upset here. I'm going to go with the Raiders because the Raiders have kind of shocked me with their level of play the last 2 weeks. They struggled against the Chiefs, but they were up 10-0 against them in the first quarter. Then the second quarter happened. So, again, Raiders have been a pleasant surprise, especially after everything with Antonio Brown. I'm going to go with the Raiders, mostly because I despise the Vikings almost more than any other team aside from the Cowboys, Giants, and the Patriots. So, Jets at Patriots. Patriots. That'll be an easy game for them. Again, I don't really expect the Patriots to lose many games until they play the Cowboys, Eagles, or whoever else in the NFC they play, because there are a couple teams in the NFC and a couple teams in the AFC that they should be worried about. I think they might play the Texans. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know their schedule at all. I know they play the NFC East, so we'll give them some trouble. NFC East as a whole will give them a little bit of trouble. Whether they beat the Eagles and Cowboys or not, that's up to whenever we play them, so we'll see what happens then. But they're playing at home. They'll beat the Jets. Panthers at the Cardinals. That's going to be an interesting game, mostly because the Cardinals haven't looked terrible, but they haven't looked good or great either. And the Panthers have been struggling a lot, but I think the Panthers are going to get back on the right track and win a game today, or Sunday, I should say. Cam Newton has just looked really bad, and he's on an 8-game losing streak as of right now. I think 8-game home losing streak. I don't remember exactly, but he's lost 8 straight somehow. Whether it's in a row, because I know he went on a really bad losing streak. The Panthers went on a really bad losing streak last year. I think it's home because they were 6-2 and they ended up 7-9, I believe. If my memory's fuzzy, correct me in the comments, but I'm gonna go with the Panthers. I think they're gonna get their first win. I'm not rooting for them, honestly. I don't really like the Panthers. I don't really like Cam Newton, and I think he's kind of washed up. I don't think he's the same anymore. So I think the Panthers are gonna win, but not really rooting for them. Giants at the Bucks. Buccaneers are going to win a very sloppy, a very crappy game. Texans at the Chargers. I'm going to go with the Texans. I would go with the Chargers, especially with them at home, but I think the Texans are a more completed team. The Chargers and Texans both have struggled a little bit against teams that they shouldn't have. Again, Chargers lost to the Colts. Texans almost blew a game against the Jaguars without their number 1 quarterback. So both teams have a lot to prove. Whoever wins the game will definitely prove that they're the better team in my eyes. I have a lot of hope in both these two teams to make the playoffs, so we'll see what happens there. Moving on, though. Steelers at the 49ers. 49ers, the way they blew out the Bengals last week, I think that's going to kind of keep them on a roll, and without Big Ben, the Steelers are not going to be that great. They've already lost Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown this offseason, losing Ben for the rest of the season, even with the way that he was struggling before he got hurt too. Shows a lot, and I don't know how this team is going to continue moving forward. We'll see. Only time will tell. But I'm going to go with the 49ers. They are at Levi Field, so I'm going to give them home field advantage. Saints at the Seahawks. If it were any other circumstance, I would go with the Saints, but I'm going to give it to the Seahawks. They lost Drew Brees for 6 weeks. So clearly, the Saints are going to go in a downward spiral, and whether or not Drew Brees comes back and revives the team and manages to put them on the run of a lifetime to get them in the playoffs, I don't see them making the playoffs, especially say they lose 6 straight. Say they lose 5 out of 6. Say they lose even 4 out of 6. They'll be in a very bad situation because the wild card in the NFC is going to be strong with teams like the Bears, the Vikings, Patriots, the entire NFC North. They're going to fight right there for that North, and they're going to be teams in the wild card spot. Eagles and Cowboys, one of those two are going to be a wild card team as well. And now you throw the 49ers in the mix. We don't know how well they're going to go. Again, the NFC North or NFC as a whole seems a lot more tougher and a lot stranger and big question marks all around. And moving forward, I don't know where the Saints lie in this because of the injury to Drew Brees. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think Teddy Bridgewater can get it done, but I don't know how many games he's going to win. I don't know who he's going to beat. The Seahawks, I'm going to give the edge to them because they're at home. Jadeveon Clowney is trying to find his footing, and the entire defense as a whole is trying to find his footing, while Russell Wilson is trying to put up major points as well. And I'm hoping to see Russell Wilson and that offense start to really come alive and not struggle as much anymore. Rams and the Browns. I'm going to give it the Rams. It's going to be a really interesting game. I'm expecting a lot of points, but again, a lot of the games where you expect a lot of points to happen, they don't really score any in them. But I hope that this game is going to be the exception. That's going to be a really fun game to watch. I'm rooting for the Browns, but I have a feeling the Rams are going to win. Bears at the Redskins, final game. I'm going to go with the Bears. One, because it's an NFC East rival that I want to lose, of course. But two, I think the Bears are the better team, specifically on defense. I think that's going to be a low-scoring game that's going to be determined over turnovers. So those are my picks. Let me know what your picks are and how you've done the first 2 weeks of the season, because I haven't done too great myself. But I'll talk Eagles and Lions this upcoming Friday, and I'll talk about more about injuries and stuff that's happening with the team and issues that we have and everything. There's a lot that's going on with this team. I do have hope still, but again, it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be a very difficult season with the way things have been shaping up so far. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Fly Eagles fly, and have a great night.